Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the MI podcast. On the MI podcast today, we'll discuss about the festive season. Welcome, everyone, to the festive season where all the brands are bombarding you with their communication regarding buying the products. Just a few tips as a marketer: what will work, what doesn't work, and how you're gonna have to go about it. So, firstly, if you see, we can't base it just on discounts. We've come to the AI age where you have personalization at a very granular level. We have to use those things. We just can't talk about discounts, especially when you are dealing with premium brands. Um, it's basically the only time of the year when brands they are inviting you to their homes. Basically, you have to use emotions, traditions, and also WhatsApp groups. We'll just break down how I feel marketers can truly, win this end of year moment. So when you look at the festive season, when you're looking at, if even within India, the major cities, there's a huge spend that is happening towards the end of the year. People are traveling in different places, so you have hotels doing well, the travel industry, people are buying a lot of things. So the FMCG is doing well, consumer goods also people are buying. So they are in that festive mode. It's coming from the West majorly when you look at the influence of the Christmas seasons and the New Year's. So we have basically there are a lot of brands who kind of utilize this particular festive cheer to make sure that their products do well. It is definitely a very competitive market, and whenever you get an opportunity which is like a festival, you have to grab it by both hands. So basically, we look at certain ways in which we all can do better. Some tips from my end. So firstly, we have to understand the festive mindset. Um, it's becoming a kind of a fashion wherein we, as marketers, without thinking, we jump into selling basically. We are like just thinking of the promotion, but marketing is much more than just promotion. So we have to understand what is this festive mindset, because understanding the customer inside out is what a marketer is supposed to. That is the primary job. Um, so basically, during festivities, people don't shop rationally. You have to understand that um, anyway, when you look at B2C, if you look at a low value product, it's more purchase is impulsive, emotion based, and it is even more during the festive season. They will shop more emotionally. So consumers, if you see in a festive season, they have a reward mindset, that I deserve this. I've worked over the whole year for this, or for gifting something, that that person deserves this, and I am providing this to them. So understanding that open mindset is kind of important in in terms of deciding the channels, the touch points, and the tone of voice of your communication. So when we look at the openness that is increased in terms of purchase and even trying new brands, uh, that is where the newer companies or companies who've not in terms of the brand, they've not built it that much. This is a great opportunity to get new consumers, because everyone is in the mode of going out there and trying new things, right? So that is where you have to you know go out there and make sure that your communication is right and you're hitting the right piece, because the best time to get new customers on board is very important for marketers to do it, and overall on a business perspective as well. In this season, purchases are mostly driven by gifting, forms of celebration that are happening and purchases towards that celebration. Like in Christmas time, it would be, buying, purchasing a lot of these cakes, or it would be the decoration around it. Also, we look at kind of a social validation, during this time, that we are part of certain, parties and events, and also expenses in that direction. So that mindset understanding, and how do we your brand basically fits into that, is very important. So customer at this time is very different than over the rest of the year. Very important to understand that. So basically, the marketers, the tip for them is, um, in terms of your, if I take a problem solving kind of communication, which will work mostly throughout the year. Here it will be more of an emotion amplifying thing. What he feels strong emotionally at that time. Your during your celebrations, your gifting, and your social validation, all those events that are happening, and also that's how you connect with your particular target audience at that time, and should kind of deliver at that time. Next is, I feel you should sell moments at that time more than ever. Marketing is more shifting anyway from just the product and the USPs and the ideas and all. It's more about the emotion, behind it. So we have to sell the moments, not the products. um, Passive marketing, it works best when you're selling a feeling or a moment. This is so it is delivering on that basically. We should not like lead with just the features or the specs of the products. They have to be something more. We have to show how families are coming together, how friends are celebrating milestones, what kind of personal wins at the year end that people want to celebrate. So your product can be front and center. Front and center hero is the people, the emotions, and what they want to do at that time is to, mostly celebrate, and your product becoming a supporting character in that. Like for example, your New Year party isn't complete without this product, or this is what your year deserves, so and so product or service, or end the year on a high. So basically, we have seen these kind of ad copies when we are looking in the market. So there's something is drawn from, your product being the supporting character within the same. Um, we need to create an urgency, definitely, because in this particular season, in many services, this is December is the biggest month. So targets also are pretty high and challenging at this time, even though their demand would be high. So somewhere in our communication, the urgency has to be developed. But you cannot sound desperate, because if you're sounding desperate, then it will kind of put off the customer. Like nobody wants to be sold to. So how do you create urgency without sounding desperate? Basically, the whole belief is surrounding around, there should be, built a feeling of some excitement, regarding the product or service without it being pushy. So just, discount here 10% only for a limited time, was the last chance to get it. This all um, will kind of not work. So I think you have to use more of terms in your ad copy around limited edition packaging. This is only a festive experience for these, say, 7 days, or only this time will there the this particular value add service along with the service that you're getting. So a psychological urgency will definitely beat a price urgency that happens even for the most lowest in terms of monetary value of a product. So um, available only festive season, a copy like that will also do. Before the year ends, you can get this particular thing, and like a little bit of FOMO. Don't miss this. How this feels. This having this experience with this product or service. So a few of them, you can kind of review and see what can kind of work and what can not. So personalizations in this AI age is no longer optional. That is what is a given. You could say quite a time earlier that personalization would be a differentiator in among smart marketing. Now it is a norm. You need to have personalization. They have to feel special, especially in a festive season. Even at scale, you need to use AI tools so that at scale, like I still see some companies when they're emailing, a first name is not mentioned in it. So today it's not acceptable. You need to at least have that the minimum personalization of a person being addressed by name, within a communication. So the expectation of the customer is very strong in terms of they want the brand to know them. And obviously emails, you have your um, you know your name in that. You have to have a purchase behave offers, like many e-commerce companies use it. And also localization in terms of the language, or something more customized for, let's say, a national level brand. So basically, when in a very cluttered market of communication also by the brands, what cuts through is the relevance. So you have to create that relevance. We should segment audiences, not just demographics. Generally, we look at demographic, age, your gender, or your profession, and not those kind of things. You should look at intent. Which are the gifting buyers? What is the buyers who want to reward themselves? Who are the last minute shoppers? With platforms today, when they have a particular audience and the mapping of AI is happening, the segmentation should happen much better. And then accordingly, marketing can be communicated like that. Your brand voice has to be even more enhanced during the festive time. Our brand voice can be lost, right? When in this day and age of following trends and going what the market demands, right? Like you should not lose yourself, your brand within that, right? So festive season should actually magnify your brand. It should magnify your brand's personality. Um, Consumers basically, they you should know how to make them feel, and like this is not about just the selling. How you made them feel in that whole experience is very important. In the long term, they will stay loyal to those brands who are true to their tone, right? During the festivities is even more important. So like copying another competitors, definitely language, which we see a lot. Something has been successful in terms of the communication, and then uh, you have that trend of people copying and following the same thing, then you lose your own brand identity within that. So you have to ask them certain important questions, like would someone recognize this campaign as your brand without the logo? that with the communication only is your identity coming across. Does your festive communication align with your year round values? You know, the same thing. A very high premium product is then blatantly selling major discounts, right? And talking about them in your face. So then you lose your particular identity. So we need to, as marketers, across all our touch points, we have to leverage the kind of storytelling. There should be some kind of a series going on, right? Like of in a communication that we have to keep that brand consistency. Um, this whole thing should, in a festive season, should build up like at least 6 weeks, last 6 weeks of the year. Uh, we need to build a narrative that builds from pre-festive anticipation, your peak celebration time, and then your kind of a year-end reflection of the thing. So you need to kind of build that as marketers. Use formats of short videos, obviously, in the day and age of reels and shorts, all your stories, the emails that you have, and experiential content, very important with the customers right there, right? The experience. That's why a lot of events are, being sponsored is a very core strategy to on the ground level connect with your audience, to sponsor events and have brand integrations at the event, because there are lot maximum events that take place, especially entertainment events, uh, are in December. So you're gonna have proper sponsorship strategy within that. Uh, so your thing has to be, like it's a part of your brand story, the whole thing, the festive season as well. It shouldn't be like something that is standing out like a sore thumb kind of thing, like you're just being festive season is something totally different. It has to be part of the whole scheme of things. That is where marketing leadership comes, and you kind of look at that whole scenario of what it looks in the whole year. Awesome. So the last point and tip would be for me is, even when the festive season gets over, you have to ride that momentum. Festive season doesn't end basically on 31st December. Party goes on, especially the marketing party. So um, basically, many brands they disappear in the festive season, which is not a good idea. What smart marketers need to do is in the communication, thank customers, especially the new ones that you've made during this festive time. Recap also, in a lot of platforms we are seeing these recaps coming, which are very interesting. Recap of the whole year. And new year messaging, like what has to be, it should be kind of built through you. Sometimes marketers will be so busy during the festive season that will forget that there's a new year, and proper scheduling that happen in terms of communication. So you should have a good plan for that new year as well. So because it is, then you lose that momentum that you've built, right? And this will build not only revenue but also your retention. So we have to go about it in a way that is beneficial in the larger scheme of things. So you have your year in review kind of content also after the festive season, then your gratitude, some kind of way you show them in some kind of messaging, and some loyalty schemes or something you can look at also, like for customers, how they supported you throughout the year or something. So we need to kind of look at different scenarios of how to, uh, drive that momentum. Awesome. So let's look at some Q&As from the audience for this particular session. It's kind of been interesting session out there, and let's look at some way what kind of questions, and also let's take one by one. Some I marked out some interesting questions for this particular topic. Awesome. So, how early should festive marketing campaign start? So, I think I mentioned during this session as well, we are looking at least 6 weeks. Uh, that whole planning. So, the planning obviously should start in the beginning of November, and then by mid-November, you have to be on with whatever your campaigns and changes as per what you are seeing. The thing that also has to be done, but the planning has to start of November. Is it okay for premium brands to participate in festive discounts? Festive discounts can, like certain premium or luxury brands uh, which don't do discounts at all, also some kind of discounting has to be utilized, because it can't be blatant, like there has to be some, like a 50% off or whatever for something, or 25% off and all that for a particular service or product as a whole should be used cleverly within it. So in this, an example can be a value add service, right? Like in a hotel, it could be like, uh, if you stay for 2 nights, you get, so and so F&B discount of 30% or something. So like an added service, which in reality is, it is inducing into you to spend more on a particular thing, right? Like a clever kind of marketing is part of business where you can use that. But blatant discounts obviously doesn't look good even in a festive time for the premium brands. How can small businesses compete with big brands during festive season? I think this is the biggest opportunity for small businesses, because people are more open, like I mentioned in this, to try new brands, and people save for a festive season to, in terms of shopping and events, and also it's a really good time on a budget wise, and the scale in terms of, and the channels and all. Maybe you cannot tap that many, but clever marketing, if you do in this particular time, like you sponsor a very niche event, for example, um, in your particular city, then it is like, say, a person, I mean, if there's a brand, they are into, selling musical instruments or something, then you cleverly sponsor a hobby based event that is there of musicians in that time. A small event will not take much to sponsor. So you have to look cleverly. Marketing is not about just the money, the biggest budgets and all. It is how you use those things smartly. End of the day, even if there are big budgets, it is how you're getting the return on investment, which is quite transparent in today's day and age. How can brands avoid sounding generic during festival? Yes, they can sound generic because maybe copying each other what is successful, in terms of communication. Following that trend can happen, and the discounting that happens, you can like just sound, or even in the creatives, it can be quite similar in terms of, uh, in digital, I would say a lot of ads, banners, and that videos that are creative can be like very, obvious, and today people are not accepting, which is something which is very obvious. So uh, basically, we that is where the marketer comes in. You um, have to kind of analyze more what is different, where it is, what's my brand voice, and where does it fit in here. Even if it is a trend, what is my own voice within it, in my, and where I can, you know s- stand out. So like not looking at so much of what competitors are doing, what's in the market during this time when the demand is high anyway, coming with something authentic uh, is quite a, and today with AI and all these things where you have proper inputs, prompts and all, you can come up with it's how much you want to put in yourself and communicate with the particular chatbots and all, and get it'll give you good base of ideas basically. Awesome. Last question of the day is, what is one mindset shift every marketer should adopt for festive marketing? So your mindset uh, has to be extremely positive about there's a high demand and have to convert that particular demand. So your mindset should be focused in achieving. It is going to be a busy time, but we have to create campaigns which align with our particular brand, as well as we are creating something innovative. So a creative and high energy uh, and highly positive outlook is what is required to tap the demand in this high naturally, let's say, high demand season that is there. So those would be my tips for the same. Awesome. Thank you so much for joining me for this particular live podcast on the festive season. I hope you like the tips that are there, and wishing everybody a very enjoyable festive season. I'll see you on in the next podcast. Thank you so much for joining me. Please subscribe to Modern Intelligence on YouTube and the MI podcast and all the podcast networks. Thank you so much. I'll see you all next time. Take care.